All right, everybody. The boys are back. The boys are back. It feels good. It feels good. I'm excited to talk football with
I'm
you
definitely
two.
ready for football season, for
I
sure.
think we all are. I think we all are.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk birds football. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sadly that Thursday night could be a night of major disappointment for all of us from multiple angles. But let's cover the team that we cherish the most and in typically the one weekend that we're let down the most, and that is the NFL draft. But like, what do we think that we need to address come Thursday night? Because there's a lot of guys there at a lot of positions that I like.
Like, what about this pessimism that we're going into it? Right. Like, let's address that. Like,
Okay.
Like I'm not getting a big sense of optimism from you going into draft night. So, let's talk through it. Like, this is a safe space. If there's anything you want to let out about our GM in command, Mr. Roseman, like, let it out. Like, let's get over that before we really dive in here.
Okay, first things first. We haven't talked in like a week. What do you think? I became like optimistic for the first time in my life in the last week. This is who I am, Rob.
It's a fair point.
And just like when we take a guy that shouldn't even be on an NFL roster over a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and we want to go Big 12 versus SEC. Like, we overthink things. I don't even know why I say we. I'm not taking any of the blame. They overthink things, and they try to be the smartest guy in the room, and clearly he's not. Hold on. One of my favorite moments was when the scout like refused to shake his hand.
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
The Milton Williams pick.
God bless.
I think it was the 3rd round, 4th round.
Yeah.
But I will give some credit. He did have a pretty good draft last year.
And all the moves he made have been good too. The trades and whatnot.
Well, that's the thing. It's really hit and miss with Howie. Like, you have home runs and you have big swings and misses. I mean, you have an all-pro starting at left tackle coming into this year who can now sing on national television and also, protect your quarterback. He's a 7th round find, a former rugby player from Australia, right? Like go figure. But then you have a situation like with, what we'll get into with the possibility of drafting another wide receiver for 3 straight first rounds. I'm thinking back to like Detroit Lion days with that. But that's the situation we're in because of guys like, Jalen Reagor, and other misses at that position. So it's been hit and miss with Howie all along, which is why you could either feel, optimistic or, kind of down on Howie going into the draft.
Yeah. So
you got to give him some credit for last year.
No,
sure.
Sean, I have.
He might have changed the page. He might have turned the page. Maybe I don't know everything. I'm going to listen to the scouts.
I'm not ready to say that. Sean.
Last year, they went heavy SEC.
Yeah.
Especially
That's all you need to do.
Right. So maybe he learned.
Hopefully, because I have about 6 names written down from the SEC that are from premier programs, and a couple of them are going to have to be there.
Right.
Pretty safe conference to back.
Yeah, it is the safest conference, especially when you're picking from LSU, Alabama, and Georgia. Dude, I don't care if they're – real quick, I need to ask a question about Sauce Gardner. Is he really better than the true freshman that started for a national championship team that was covering Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson at practice every day?
Yeah. I know he's number 1 on most boards, right? At the cornerback position.
I feel like that like people just need something to talk about, and like that's the narrative they're running with.
I feel like it's generally a pretty weak cornerback class, though, right? Like it's you got a couple guys at the top, but then it's not a deep class. At least I haven't seen anything to suggest it is. And I mean, in that case, in drafting a cornerback that high or in the first round in general. I mean, you're banking on with Gardner. Does he have the body of work? Does it like a guy like Stingley has? At LSU, versus coming from Cincinnati. I mean, do you want to stake your horses to that kind of guy based on either what you're measuring or otherwise seeing on tape from him? I haven't looked into him particularly that much because I don't think he's going to be there. When the Eagles come time for the Eagles to pick, and I don't really necessarily see them taking cornerback with you to pick either.
Really? Okay.
You don't think they could trade up for one?
For one of them?
Yeah.
I don't see it happen for a secondary player. No,
Hmm.
not for a cornerback or a safety. I think I'm done wishing for the Eagles to take a cornerback high.
Yeah, I hear that.
High in the first round. Like I've overcome that hope or like a personal ask for the the command center on draft day, and I'm more than okay if we want to take a shot on a couple of SEC guys in the later rounds. You're gonna, I think their MO has been guys that have played at a high level and that can play multiple positions, have versatility, they can move around, right? And that's kind of how they've gone about it with the secondary position outside of signing Slay, right? So I get you need to add a guy in this draft, and I think they will. I just don't think it's something that they're going to invest a lot, two big resources in, right, in one of the two first-round picks.
That's fair. That's fair. It's disappointing, but it's fair.
It's incredibly disappointing, right? Because there's been guys in the past couple of years that made you excited, but they haven't taken a shot on.
I'll tell you what. There's 3 guys that I think are probably going to go early. I got to get something up. Why is there not a single quarterback projected to go in like the top 15? Like,
I know someone's reaching for one.
Fuck is that?
Yeah.
Joe, we talked about this earlier. If I'm the Lions, what do you have to lose in taking that kid from Liberty? If he can sling, you found your guy. If he can't sling, then you have the first pick next year, and you definitely found your guy.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the logic. Or like the Falcons. There's every team up there.
I think they will.
The Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, you got Mariota. That's like a little stopgap. Like, that's not your answer.
No.
Like you have to draft somebody.
Marcus Mariota hasn't been anybody's answer besides.
Yeah, like I don't know what
Chip Kelly's answer.
Chip Kelly thought so.
Yeah,
he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that
you're drafting the top 15. Like again, like you're investing that kind of pick in a quarterback. Is you mentioned Willis from Liberty, and he shows like some flash and potential. But is there really anybody out there in that class that you would put your bet up against?
I mean, I'm looking at every single. Rob, I'm looking at every single one of those teams. Is there anybody on their depth chart that I'm willing to like throw out in front of 70,000 fans on Sunday?
It's not. I mean, not all of them have ideal situations. Like I can't speak to the Detroit Lions, but I mean, at least you have you have another year to invest your resources down the line in a draft pick, higher draft pick for a better quarterback class next year, and you can still take a top, quality guy at a high draft pick to build that for those respective franchises. I don't know. I just when I try to look at it like what am I taking if I'm a top 10 pick, top 5 pick, it's like as a GM like I have to stake like one of the largest pieces of capital right in this draft and maybe in the league, right? Who am I going to stake that bet on? And to me, like this year going in, even if I know I have a bad quarterback situation, I need a quarterback. I don't know if I want to risk it on any of these quarterbacks in this draft. That's all I'm saying. Like, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that you can make a case for, but for me, like that's all I'm questioning when it comes to the quarterbacks here. I mean, nobody excites me. I mean, there's been a couple like decent college quarterbacks here, right? Whether it's Howell or Pickett, but you got some potential. You mentioned, like you said, Willis, but I don't know if there's anybody I want to make that kind of investment in.
No, there's none that like clearly nobody wants to make an investment in them because like I don't even know if half of them are going to get dressed up on Thursday. That's how like sure they are that none of them are getting drafted. And there's a good chance if you do get dressed up, you're going to be stuck there and you're going to have to sleep overnight and be there on Friday. That's embarrassing. That's a bad look. So I would watch it with my family at home.
That's always the safe option.
Yeah, but dude, and why do you even want to be around half those people anyway?
And ESPN will set you up anyway. They'll zoom in on you. And ESPN does your worst.
Yeah. But okay, I want to get into the birds, and I want to get into what I think they desperately need, and that's interior D-line, edge rushers. Do they need a linebacker? I don't know if anybody does, but there's somebody there that might be there that I would love for them to have. And There's one other Alabama wide receiver that I would be 110% okay with them going and trading up and getting. And that's really it.
Who are you looking for? Who are you looking for?
I mean, honest to God, if at 15 and 18 they go Georgia D-line, I'll be ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
But if they trade up and they get Jameson Williams, like if he didn't have a bum wheel, to me, he's like a no-brainer going to be another top 10, 15 wide receiver in like a year or two in the league. So there's a possibility that he does fall a little bit and the Birds can make a move without giving up that much.
Yeah. And the injury could always scare teams off. I know there's teams that love like the other dude from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson or whatever his name is, instead of Chris Olave. Like there's dudes people like. I don't think there's like a consensus. This is the number one guy. I think he could be there at 15.
If that kid from USC is an Eagle on Friday,
there's no way.
I will be furious. I don't want the kid from Oregon. I don't want the kid from Utah. I don't want the kid from USC. I don't want it. Keep them over there. Let him play in the AFC West or the NFC West. Keep him over there. I don't want to see him come to the East Coast. I want no parts of anybody from the Pac-12. By now we should have learned.
Rightfully so. Yeah, right. Rightfully so.
And that's really it. Rob, I have a quick question for you. Is Kyle Hamilton the real deal?
Kyle Hamilton's the real deal. I mean, I think the only thing against him at this point from being a top 10 pick is a bad 40 showing, right, in the spring this year, going into the draft. But, I mean, I just watched, quite a few games of Hamilton, watching following Notre Dame. And I mean, from what I've seen, just watching him, I've seen him cover the field pretty well. I mean, you can find, plenty of highlight reels on Kyle Hamilton, seeing him go from one side of the field to the other with, some time to spare and making some plays. So I have no concerns with, him at an NFL level covering the field and his speed and covering the field. So I think to the extent that he falls, that there's going to be a team that, maybe gets a steal because similar to cornerback, I think safety is even weaker in this draft. So I think there might be a couple guys, very top heavy, maybe a couple guys, but Hamilton leading the pack there in that position. But I think if he falls, like I said, I think a team's going to be lucky to snag him, anywhere maybe 11, 12. Not somebody I expect the Eagles to move up and make a play for if he were to fall. But I don't know. I mean, I'm anxious to see where he goes. I mean, I originally thought he'd be a higher pick, but I think that 40 times was killing him.
Yeah, that seems to be the only thing that'll cost you or make you millions of dollars during Combine Day.
Have you seen like the splits in the guaranteed money and the differences in contract, whether it's a number one overall to top 3, 5, 10, and then a huge drop off like after that? It's incredible. It's crazy. Millions of dollars.
That's why you better stretch before you do that 40. Sean, what do you want the Eagles to draft? What position do you want them to tackle?
I need a receiver.
Really?
I need one. I'm glad they stayed put in not signing a Christian Kirk or whoever and just throwing a bunch of money at somebody. I think they did the right thing avoiding that, but I can't go into the season with Zach Pascal as my number 2.
Yeah,
that's not I'm trying to evaluate the quarterback position. Like I need to give him weapons to be able to flourish. Because outside of that, I think the offense should be fine. Like set up for him to succeed.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be mad if they made a move in round 2 and got Dotson from Penn State or preferably Pickens from Georgia.
Right.
I mean, that guy, like, you just look at him, you're like, he has all the physical tools and he's a dog.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody I would want in my locker room and wearing the same jersey as me. I definitely don't want him on the other side of the field. So that's something I can't comprehend with these NFL drafts. That like the kid from USC is a guaranteed first-round pick, and the kid from Georgia's a guaranteed second-round pick.
I don't get it either, because all I've heard about the kid from like Drake London or whatever is he can't get any separation. But like he can catch 50-50 balls. Like that does not sound like a good NFL receiver to me.
Now it seems like they're in love, like the big body guy, right? Like with the 6'4", a little over 200.
Right.
So I think they're, the potential, like the size matchups there, and the potential, like with his size, I think is what's really appealing, and why, like, look, from what I've seen, like he shot up to like the top of a lot of like boards in terms of like wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But I, like you guys were mentioning earlier, I'm afraid of USC wide receivers. I'm staying away in the NFL.
I mean, if you can't get separation in the Pac-12, like I'm not drafting you in the first round.
Hell no.
Like that doesn't make any sense to me. I'll take the two Ohio State guys, like anybody, Georgia, whoever, Alabama, whatever.
I would consider Williams falling, Mike, but I don't know if I like investing more resources in him, going up to get him. Being injured and coming off an injury, it's like hit or miss with those things. And, you have flashbacks to some, like other guys who taking shots on with injury concerns.
Well, they did last year, and that worked out pretty well for them.
Jones comes to mind. Yeah, I mean,
there's
like,
something about those Alabama doctors. Those
Yeah.
Alabama doctors got to get those dudes right.
Yeah.
But here, can I explain to you my thinking with this draft is the NFC is so bad that the Eagles are like fool's gold right now, where they're going to be in the playoff picture, and they made the playoffs last year. But like, as we saw, once you get there, they are so far behind. But the top 4 teams versus everybody else in the NFC, like, I don't want us to be stuck in limbo where it's like we have time. They have a young O-line, currently a young quarterback. You don't need the kid to play right away. That's just like, we don't need, if he is the numbers that he put up in college, and if you put the numbers up in Alabama, it translates to the NFL almost every time. I can't think of one off the top of my head that didn't hit.
Yeah, who's the last bad receiver from there?
Calvin Ridley, because he was betting on the Falcons.
Yeah, and he's a monster.
But when he's
Like,
playing, he's a
he's
stud.
awesome.
He's the only bad receiver just because he's a knucklehead.
Yep.
But besides that, there's studs. So
yeah, they got a good track record.
Yeah, honestly, God, that might be the safest play in the draft is take an Alabama wide receiver. I don't know how I feel about the Ohio State ones. I mean, they have great numbers throughout their careers there. Ohio State produces a lot of great NFL players. I wouldn't really be angry at it. But to me, there's going to be other guys that I view as more important positions that I view could be better. And that's all 3 of the Georgia D linemen. I just like, your line's getting a little old. I view that as the second or third, probably the third most important position to have. I just don't think you can go wrong with taking any of them. And we all watched them a lot last year. And all of them made a lot of plays against serious opponents. So
Yeah.
No, I think they go D-line. That's how they build. Like, that's who the Eagles are. They're O-line, D-line. Like, almost every year. It's not sexy, but, like, it is. That's how they draft. So, my ideal situation is receiver, D-line.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be mad at that. And it doesn't look cute, but at the end of the day, that's why you actually stay in games that you shouldn't win when you're terrible.
Right.
If your D-line's buzzing and their offense can't move the ball, in today's NFL, if you can get pressure, it doesn't matter. Actually, the kids from Cincinnati and LSU don't matter if you don't have the D-line.
I would take some combination of Jameson Williams falling to the Birds and Jordan Davis on Jordan, right? Because like if we're going to roll with another receiver in the first round, I want to find an impact, defensive player definitely to complement that. Especially if I know Williams won't be available for Williamson won't be available for however long with the injury, but and out of the guys you mentioned on the D line, Mike, like when I'm looking at impact guys along there, I'm not seeing it at edge as much, but someone like Davis on the interior, I think we know where we stand with Cox right at this point. Like he was a cap casualty, brought him back on hometown deal for a year. If we're looking to move, increase our leverage at that position and look for a transition for him. somebody like Davis can make an impact, sooner rather than later. Because I don't know. Are there any edge rushers or guys that you guys have looked at that? Because I agree. Like, I know that the Birds love their edge rushers, and I would not be surprised if they went with their favorite edge rusher available at one of these picks. But there aren't any guys like that jump off to me, like, in that regard.
Sean, you want to take this? I'm ready to go.
Yeah, go do your thing.
We're ready to rock.
I would take David Ajabo.
Yeah, for the first round pick.
With everything that happened, I don't care, bro. Didn't he sign up for soccer, and he started playing football his like junior year of high school, and the football coach saw him and was like, "No, you're signing up for the wrong sport. You got to come play for me." And was instant starter, and he's a stud. So you think about it, he's been playing football for what, 4 or 5 years?
It's crazy.
And he's a physical specimen, and there's a very good chance he's there at 18. I mean, that's not somebody that I would like love to have, but I certainly wouldn't be mad at them taking him. Because my ideology is, again, I want us to be bad next year. I want us to be bad. We have draft capital.
I don't think they can
We're
be
not
that
very
bad.
clear about that up front. I didn't thought maybe we didn't get a line on our long-term strategy, but I'm coming in here thinking like we need some impact talent right away. Put some pieces around another year of Jalen Hurts. Particularly on the defensive end, but if we want to add in a receiver, whether it's first round or second round, give him another opportunity, like weapon on the outside. But it's about putting some impact players on the field like as soon as we can. We got 2 shots at it in the first round.
Yeah, maybe I just don't want to see another year of Jalen Hurts. Or maybe I don't want to see a year after this one with Jalen Hurts.
You're stuck with it, but then you have 2 first-round picks now next year as well because you gave up the one from this year. You're kind of, banking a little bit on that next year to have a little extra capital in case you need to make a move, right? So you get another year of looking at them.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with this here. I think he's a nice guy. He's probably a good young man. But what I saw in that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game,
it wasn't pretty.
That's burned into my brain. I don't want to see him play football anymore after that. That was awful. It was awful. I got to say it. I've been talking about this guy for 12 months. I would love to see Nakobe Dean in a Philadelphia Eagles jersey. Would love it. That would probably be my favorite pick of the draft. Won't happen.
Yeah, I think there's a 0% chance. Yeah. I don't think there's any chance.
Yeah.
Once they signed that dude from the Chargers, I think that filled that need, and they think they're good for 5 years.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I also don't understand how this kid from Utah is now touted higher than the All-American from the SEC that is clearly the best linebacker in the draft.
You're talking about Devin Lloyd?
Yeah. What, like?
Yeah, I don't know. I never watched Utah, but I did hear he was like a monster.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You never watched Utah.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
For sure.
We watched Nakobe Dean play Alabama twice.
For sure. Yeah.
Utah didn't even get a night game. They don't even want to turn the lights on for Utah. I don't want to hear that. What did you say?
You got to stay up late for that.
Yeah, that's right, actually.
Yeah.
Nobody's staying up till midnight to watch.
Not for Utah.
There's some action to be had on those games in the season. Right? We can get into that later.
There is, but that's when I wake up in the morning and see if there's more money or less money in the account than I thought.
There's always time for a little late night action, Pac-12 after dark. But I don't, just kind of like with the cornerback thing. Like I'm done hoping the Eagles take a linebacker in the first round. Like I agree. Both of those guys are quality guys. They need those like impact defenders like we're looking to grab here. But I found, looking at a guy in the second round, like I'd be happy if you wanted to take a chance in the second round on linebacker. I think maybe the linebacker from Alabama, Christian Harris, might be available. And he seems like a guy that, to me, like what I think of in the NFL, like you need quality talent guys that can move sideline to sideline, right? They can cover and they can do multiple things at the linebacker position because it's kind of to some extent, is like utility with the way that, a lot of, the number of DBs that are used and the different coverages they use. So I'm looking at a guy like that where it's like, hey, okay, if you don't want to take a linebacker in the first round, but there's another guy from Alabama. We're talking about guys like with good pedigrees, background, like high quality competition. Like that'd be my pick, my hope. That's my one hope. Somewhere, something like that. But that's an ideal scenario for me.
That'd be a nice Friday night treat.
Yeah, I mean, and if they don't totally miss or get wild with the first round picks, you couple that with a second round snag like that. I think that'd be a nice draft we're looking at.
Yeah, I also wouldn't be mad with the kid from Iowa that it just find Jason Kelsey's replacement. I mean, I'm not mad at that at all. If you're gonna get cute, do the right thing. If you're not gonna get cute, then I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I think that would be a very Eagles pick. I mean, like I was saying, they do build on the offensive line, on the defensive line. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. I just think they have too many holes to be getting guys for the future right now. Like my defense stinks. If we're taking backup centers, I mean, go get me another D line. Go get me anything, a linebacker, whatever, safety.
Yeah. That might be wishful thinking.
I think the disappointment, like the big disappointment, is if they don't address defense in the first round at all. Right? Like I don't know two picks. Like, are they gonna select two players? Are they gonna trade one? Another first round pick. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. They could go a couple of different directions with two picks, but something's got to be done about defense. Like impact player on defense that can that we can rely on like on day one. I think that would go a long way. You have the capital to do it in this draft. There's no reason not to.
It's funny that we think that's like even possible with how bad it is. Like we haven't even brought up the fact that like there is no shot that they don't draft one offensive player with one of those first round picks. There is 110% going to be an offensive player drafted, and there's a good chance it's two of them.
I would be surprised with two. I would be very surprised if there was two offensive players.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no way I'm staying up that late to watch it. But when I look the next day, there's a good chance that I'm going to be like, who the fuck is that? Like that guy didn't even have his agent around him to take the call at first. And you called him? Jesus Christ.
And we'll put it this way: if the guy that they're picking also went to bed that night, like you, then it's not a good. It's probably not a good.
Yeah, they had to wake him up.
They have to wake him up. It's not a great time. We don't want
you're getting a call.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Can you imagine the feeds on that? Real.
Yeah, I'd be happy with D-line, secondary. That's wishful thinking. I'm not even gonna say linebacker. It's not gonna happen. I'm going to have to watch Nakobe Dean play for, like, the Packers or something, sadly. But at least he'll be on TV a lot. And then I would love if they get that kid from Alabama. That's really all I got.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the same page. Alabama sounds good to me.
Yeah, anybody at any position from that school, I'm cool with.
Yep.
And I think all three of us, we're all on board with, like, take two players with both picks, right? Like, no more moving around.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if they moved around, but I think they make two picks. But I wouldn't be surprised if they moved up one and then moved back the other, or I really wouldn't. I think Howie's on the phone, like, playing my GM right now.
Yeah, playing the screen game.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I think they do make the two picks. Now it just depends on where. I wouldn't be surprised if he bumps up a few, moves back a few. I mean, I think he's going to make two picks.
I'd be disappointed if they didn't.
So would I.
I was realistic in thinking, like, okay, like they're not going to use all three first round picks. They'll move one of them, but yeah, I'd be disappointed if they didn't use two picks.
Yeah,
they need too much.
A team with that many holes, exactly.
Yeah. And then again, I'd be a little disappointed if we're banking one of those resources on a guy like, whether it's Williams or one of these other guys that you're taking a shot on with an injury. Like, give me a guy that can get in here and get going on day one, make an impact. Again, like I agree. Like if there's a talent like that falls, it's worth considering. But I'm hoping for some guys that can get in here and start making plays.
I know what you're
I'm not
really
giving up
thinking.
on this year, Mike. I'm not. I don't know if
I know. No, I know the truth. The truth just came out. You want them to draft the Notre Dame safety. That's exactly what it is.
Well, no, I mean, there's no in no world would that happen.
You don't have to lie to me. That's okay. That's okay.
They only have one safety.
I know. They're about to hold tryouts to get another Vince Papale or some shit.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. I mean,
We'll
if they
take
don't,
the Eagles' outlook offline. We'll have to work through this as we lead up to the season because I don't know. Your head's in a dark place with these Birds, and man,
no, never. Never. I couldn't be more excited.
Not Mike.
No, never. I feel like I'm very level-headed about it. This is as level as I could be. I'm just being real about it. SEC, Big Ten, keep it simple. It's all I'm asking. I don't care what you get from those two conferences. Pretty simple. But boys, I think it's going to be almost time for us to start talking about some future bets post-draft, and then in the weeks coming after. And Sean, we've been talking about it already, like what we like going into the season.
Yep.
There's some pretty good numbers on some things out there. So we need to, once everybody falls in the right places and we see official rosters and stuff like that, there's some tough schedules for some good teams that I don't think are going to make the playoffs. So So we got to get into that.
There's always enough change year to year with the NFL and playoffs, and where you could take some pretty nice win totals, playoff option bets too. So those are always fun to get into.
Yeah, so I think we do a post-draft synopsis. Let Mike get his complaints out, and then
we'll bitch about them taking Drake London.
Oh God, no. Because I'm gonna have to watch the Sixers blow it, and then I'm gonna have to watch them pick the kid from USC that's gonna be converted to a tight end in like a fucking year.
If that happens on the same night, then
don't be surprised.
Yeah, that's Philly sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was good to have the boys back. It was not very nice to talk football. I'm getting really excited for football season now. We'll be back next week to talk to you about how much we love or hate whoever the Eagles took. Until then.